Australia and Indonesia signed defence cooperation agreement. Blinken arrives in Doha to discuss Gaza ceasefire efforts. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm SAHIH and you're watching World Today. Australia and Indonesia signed a treaty-level defence cooperation agreement which allows Australian and Indonesian militaries to operate from each other's countries. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Tuesday told a joint press conference in Canberra with Indonesia President-elect Prabowo Subianto that the deal will be a vital plank for the two countries to support each other's security, which is vital to both countries, but also to the stability of the region.
Our countries will continue to strengthen our ties as economic partners, security partners, and partners that stand ready to benefit from the global transition to net zero.
We have achieved good progress, great progress, may I say, in our defense cooperation agreement. We have ironed out some legalistic details, I think in a very good outcome.
Australia and Indonesia share the world's longest maritime boundary and already collaborate on a number of issues, including security, people trafficking and drug smuggling. Australia has struck a number of defence deals in recent years, most notably the AUKUS military alliance with the United States and Great Britain that has angered China. United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Doha on Tuesday on the next leg of a diplomatic effort to secure a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage release deal as major areas of dispute remain between Israel and Hamas. Blinken met earlier in the day in Egypt with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, whose country has been helping mediate the on and off Gaza talks for months along with the US and Qatar. Blinken's visit to the region also included meetings in Israel on Monday. He said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had accepted a US bridging proposal aimed at narrowing the gaps between the two sides after talks last week paused without a breakthrough and urged Hamas to accept it too. A senior Biden administration official told reporters travelling with Blinken that the US expects the ceasefire talks to continue this week. Blinken said the Gaza ceasefire deal needs to get done in coming days, adding the United States, Egypt and Qatar will do everything possible to get Hamas on board with the bridging proposal.
On the fierce urgency of now. This needs to get done, and it needs to get done in the days ahead, and we will do everything possible to get it across the finish line.
The US has long said it does not accept a long-term occupation of Gaza by Israel. India and Japan have agreed to bolster defence and security ties and back a common strategic vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific, a region where both countries have troubled relations with China. Foreign and defence ministers of both countries held talks under the so-called India-Japan 2+2 dialogue in New Delhi, the third such bilateral engagement in 5 years. The ministers discussed progress on the transfer of battleship communication antennas and related technology from Japan to India, according to a joint statement. The move would mark Japan's first export of defence equipment and technology transfer to New Delhi under a 2015 pact as Tokyo seeks to strengthen its defence industry. Economic and political ties between India and Japan have grown. Nations are part of a Quad security grouping with the United States and Australia, seen as a counter to China's influence in the region. Last year, Japan and India, the world's third and fifth largest economies respectively, launched a $600 million joint fund for low-carbon emission projects. Bilateral trade was worth $22.85 billion in the 2023 to 2024 fiscal year. South Korea conducted anti-terror attack drills on Tuesday outside Seoul's Olympic Gymnastics Arena in Seoul as part of the country's annual Ulchi civil defense exercise. The drill, which involved government, military and police agencies, aim to minimize damage in response to potential drone attacks and a hostage situation, according to the Seoul Metropolitan Government. The 4-day civil defense exercise, which began on Monday, focuses on wartime readiness that reflects the current security situation. The Seoul Metropolitan Government added this includes simulations of North Korea's drone threats and the launching of balloons carrying trash into the south.
이번 훈련을 통해 유동 인구가 많은 다중 이용 시설에서의 통합작전 수행 능력을 향상시킬 수 있었습니다. 앞으로도 민관 군경 소방 간의 긴밀한 협력 체계를 바탕으로 통합방위 역량을 강화하여 유사시 작전을 현장에서 종결하겠습니다.
Danish biotech firm Bavarian Nordic is considering ramping up production of its Mpox vaccine without having orders lined up based on talks this week with the World Health Organization (WHO). Chief Executive Officer Paul Chaplin said in an interview that the company urgently needs to make the call on whether to manufacture at risk or without signed contracts because diverting or switching manufacturing capacity from its other vaccines to Mpox will take time. In order to make that decision, Bavarian Nordic would need to be reasonably convinced that those orders would be coming true. He said the company will have to wait and see how the discussion develop this week and make a decision later this week to determine what they will do. Chaplin added that discussions were with the WHO, the Global Vaccine Group Gavi, and the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), and with individual governments in Africa and elsewhere. Last week, the WHO declared that an outbreak of Mpox, a viral infection that spreads through close contact, represents a global health emergency for the second time in 2 years. Coming up next, Italian rescuers search for missing passengers of sunken Superyacht. Italian rescue workers searched into the dark of night on Tuesday to find 6 missing people, including British tech entrepreneur Mike Lynch and his daughter, following an intense storm that sank the vessel on Monday. The British flag Bayesian, a 56-meter-long super yacht, was carrying 22 people and anchored off the port of Porticillo when it was hit by the fierce pre-dawn storm. Witnesses say the boat disappeared beneath the waves in a matter of minutes, baffling naval experts who said a boat as large as the Bayesian would have been designed to stay afloat for many hours despite taking on water. 15 people escaped before it capsized, and the body of one person who died was swiftly recovered. Rescuers said there was little chance of finding more survivors, with fears that the bodies got trapped inside the vessel. The boat was lying at a depth of 49 meters, giving divers only 8 to 10 minutes at the wreck site before they had to resurface. The fire brigade, which is leading the search operation, said entering the boat also proved to be difficult. The European Commission cut on Tuesday its proposed tariff on imports of Tesla cars built in China and said some Chinese firms in joint ventures with EU automakers may receive lower planned punitive duties on Chinese-made electric vehicles. In the highest profile European Union probe of alleged Chinese subsidies, the Commission issued draft definitive findings of its anti-subsidy investigation, which has provoked threats of retaliation from Beijing. It set a new reduced rate of 9% for Tesla, lower than the 20.8% it had previously indicated in July. Tesla had requested a recalculation of its rate to be based on the specific subsidies the company had received, according to the Commission. The EU executive said on Tuesday it still believed Chinese EV production had benefited from extensive subsidies and proposed final duties of up to 36.3%. That is slightly lower than the maximum provisional duty of 37.6% the Commission had set in July for companies that did not cooperate with the EU's anti-subsidy investigation. Brazilian Environment Minister Marina Silva said on Tuesday that one of the priorities of the upcoming G20 should be to ensure that the world's temperature does not rise over 1.5 degrees Celsius. During the G20 social prep meeting, Silva warned that an increase in temperature could lead to more environmental disasters such as the floods in Rio Grande do Sul state and fires in Pantanal wetlands, as well as droughts and wildfires in the Amazon. Scientists have established 1.5 degrees Celsius as a global warning threshold, which describe a temperature average over decades, beyond which scientists warn of more extreme and irreversible impacts. In a June report, the UN World Meteorological Organization's WMO said there is now an 80% chance that at least one of the next 5 years will mark the first calendar year with an average temperature that temporarily exceeds 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, up from a 66% chance last year. Taiwan showed off its missiles firepower on Tuesday, launching a battery of surface-to-air missiles in front of reporters during a visit to a sensitive test site on a remote part of the island's southeastern coast. Democratically governed Taiwan, which China's views as its own territory, has complained of step-up Chinese military activity as Beijing seeks to assert its sovereignty claims, and Taipei has been strengthening its deterrence abilities. At the Jiuping base in Taiwan's Pingtung County, the military test fired both United States-made Patriot and Taiwan-made Skybow 3 missiles into the sky as dawn broke, while a warship off the coast fired a RIM-66 Standard missile. Jiuping is also where the government-run weapons developer National Chung-Chan Institute of Science and Technology tests new missiles, like the longer-range version of the Xiong Feng, which is designed to hit targets deep in China. Qatar Airways will take a 25% stake in South Africa-based regional carrier Air Link, as both airlines seek to boost services and passenger numbers across Africa. Qatar Airways CEO Badar Mohammed Al Amir, speaking alongside airline CEO Roger Foster, told reporters the investment would boost Qatar Airways' access to passengers in regional cities in Africa. Foster added it would allow privately owned Air Link to expand in Africa and eventually to operate larger aircraft on 1 or 2 routes. The executive officials did not disclose the value of the investment. Air Link currently flies to more than 45 destinations in 15 African countries. Meanwhile, state-owned Qatar Airways holds stakes in British Airways, Owner International Airlines Group, LATAM Airlines, Cathay Pacific Airways and China Southern Airlines. It has also been in talks to acquire a minority stake in Rwanda's Rwanda Air, and in 2019 it agreed with Rwanda's government to take a majority stake in a new international airport in Rwanda. A man arrested on suspicion of killing a number of women and dumping their bodies in an old quarry escaped from police custody in the Kenyan capital Nairobi on Tuesday. Colin Jumaisi was arrested last month in connection with the discovery of at least 6 bodies wrapped in plastic bags in an abandoned quarry, which is now used as rubbish dump. Police spokesperson Razila Onyango said the man broke out of the Gigiri police station alongside 12 Eritrean nationals.
13 prisoners escaped from the cells, among them 12 Eritrean nationals who were arrested for being illegally in Kenya, and 1 male murder suspect, namely Collins Jumaisi Kalusha, who is connected with the Kware murder incident.
Police say Jumaisi admitted to killing 42 women, including his wife, but his lawyer told a court he was tortured into making a confession. Prosecutors deny he had been mistreated. Widespread fires in the Santa Cruz, Beni and Pando regions in Bolivia since Monday have caused significant damage to homes, wildlife and the landscape. More than 500 firefighters have been deployed to control the fires. The forest fires in the eastern of the country have forced villagers to flee, kill wildlife and damage widespread landscapes. According to the most recent government report, the fires have devastated over 2 million hectares across Bolivia. Meanwhile, the biodiversity team from the Santa Cruz Natural Resources Directorate continues to rescue wildlife affected by the fires. The team have managed to save various animals, including anteaters and lizards, and have provided them with the necessary treatment before releasing them back into the wild. Chinese video game Black Myth Wukong shot to the top of Steam most played game list after its official launch on Tuesday as global gamers rushed to play the highly anticipated game. Developed by Hangzhou-based Game Science, the video game is now available on platforms including Steam, PlayStation 5, Epic Game Store and the Tencent Wii game. According to data on Steam, over 1.04 million gamers were playing Black Myth Wukong at 11 a.m. yesterday, just an hour after its debut into a market long dominated by Western AAA titles. AAA games are typically defined as high cost, high volume, high quality, standalone titles, a market long dominated by Japanese, American and French companies. The Chinese role-playing game won the Best Visuals Award at last August Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, one of the world's largest gaming events. It captured the attention of the global gaming community and sparked excitement among players worldwide. The game is inspired by the ancient Chinese tale Journey to the West and focused on the tale of the Monkey King Sang Wukong. Still to come in sports, Phil Foden wins PFA Player of the Year award. Manchester City forward Phil Foden won the Professional Footballers Association Player of the Year award on Tuesday. Foden played a key role in City winning an unprecedented fourth consecutive Premier League title last term. The 24-year-old scored 19 times and delivered 8 assists for Pep Guardiola's team as they piped Arsenal to the title on last day of the season. Foden has already set his sights on a fifth successive Premier League crown after City started their title defence with a 2-0 win at Chelsea on Sunday. Foden also won the 2023-24 Premier League Player of the Season award and was named the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year. Foden's City teammates Erling Haaland, who won the award last year, and Rodri, as well as Chelsea's Cole Palmer, Arsenal's Martin Odegaard, and Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins were also on the Player of the Year shortlist. Chelsea forward Palmer was named the Men's PFA Young Player of the Year. Foden and Palmer's award made it the first time that both the senior and young player trophies went to English players since 2009 and 10, when Wayne Rooney and James Milner took home the silverware. World men's number 1 Jannik Sinner has been cleared of fault or negligence after failing 2 drug tests in March. Sinner provided an in-competition sample at the Indian Wells Masters on 10th March, which contained the presence of a metabolite of clostribol at low levels. Clostribol is an anabolic agent prohibited at all times by the World Anti-Doping Agency (WADA). A further sample, conducted 8 days later out of the competition, also tested positive for low levels of the same metabolite. Sinner said that the contamination of banned substance of clostribol happened when a member of his support team applied an over-the-counter spray on to treat a small wound of their own earlier this year. The International Tennis Integrity Agency (ITA) said that the support team member in question had applied the spray between 5 to 13 March, during which time they had also provided daily massages and sport therapy to Sinner, which resulted in the contamination. While the 23-year-old Italian has been cleared of any wrongdoing, he will be stripped of his results prize money and the 400 ranking points he accumulated at Indian Wells in accordance with the anti-doping rules in force. Two-time US Open champion Naomi Osaka and world number 10 Alex de Minaur trained ahead of the American Grand Slam. Osaka returns to the Flushing Meadows as a ranked outsider after missing the 2023 tournament. The Japanese former world number one was given a wildcard berth as she continues her comeback from maternity leave. Before this, the Japanese 26-year-old was beaten by Ashlyn Kruger in the second round of qualifying for the Cincinnati Open, the latest setback in a patchy run of form heading into the final Grand Slam of the year at the US Open. Meanwhile, Australian Alex de Minaur will play in the US Open weeks after withdrawing from the Paris Olympics due to a hip injury. De Minaur pulled out of his Wimbledon quarterfinal against Djokovic last month after sustaining a cartilage tear in his hip in the fourth round. The 144th edition US Open starts next Monday and runs to 8 September. The Australian is currently 8th in the PIF ATP Live race to Turin and will be aiming for a good end to the season to boost his chances of qualifying for Nitto ATP finals for the first time. Ahead of the upcoming Malaysia Moto GP this November, the number of tickets sold was at 50% as Sepang International Circuit aimed to attract up to 200,000 spectators to the circuit. Its CEO Azhan Shafriman Hanif said the season's MotoGP Malaysia will include the after-race fest carnival where local and international artists will perform to the delight of fans.
Kita harapkan tahun ini merupakan tahun yang lebih bermakna dengan triple celebration dan juga kita target attendance untuk tahun ini lebih kurang dalam 200,000 attendance tambahan lebih kurang dalam 20,000 daripada tahun lepas.
The after-race fest carnival will take place from 4 p.m. till midnight, November 3rd, with Group Smash, Macklemore, Niji, Phil, Koplo, Six Sense and DFAM performing in Phase 1, while the lineup of Phase 2 will be announced in September. Azhan Shafriman also did not discount the possibility that they and organisers would provide wildcard entries to local riders in the Moto 2 and the Moto 3 categories. Meanwhile, Azhan said the Sepang International Circuit SIC has been given the green light by the government to extend its contract to hold the Motorcycle Grand Prix MotoGP Malaysia from 2024 to 2026. He added that the government agreed to extend the contract with MotoGP rights holder Liberty Media Corporation as the existing contract will expire this year.
Kita tak ada buat apa-apa pengumuman lagi, tapi kita dah dapat persetujuan daripada pihak kerajaan untuk melanjutkan ke 2026 daripada tahun 2022 sampai 2024 was the first part of the contract. Extension dia sampai 2026 dan alhamdulillah kita dah dapat persetujuan daripada pihak kerajaan Malaysia untuk sambung ke tahun 2026.
He told reporters at the 2024 MotoGP Race Media Conference at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre KLCC today. The event was also attended by Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Adam Adli Abdul Halim. Primož Roglic proved he has fully recovered from his Tour de France ending crash with Stage 4 victory in the Vuelta a España on Tuesday. The three-time Vuelta winner triumphed atop the daunting closing climb to Pico Vallecas to stake his claim for a record equaling fourth success in one of cycling's 3 Grand Tours. The Slovenia veteran, ably supported by his Red Bull Hang Growth teammates, reeled into two-man breakaway up the grueling 14.6-kilometre long ascent with a gradient of 16% over the final 5 km. Roglic was rewarded for his endeavour by taking over the race leader's red jersey. He leads the UAE team's Joe Almeida by 8 seconds in the general classification. In a desperate scramble for the line, Leonard van Velt had his arm raised in victory, only for Roglic to pip him to the post with Almeida in third. The race was entering Spain for the first time after 3 days in Portugal, with this 170.5-kilometre ride from Placinia to Pico Vallecas in the Extremadura region. Wednesday's stage 5 will be easier on the legs with a less demanding 170-kilometre ride tailor-made for the sprinters from Fuente del Mastre to Sevilla as the race heads into Andalusia. That could give Wout van Aert hope of adding to his red jersey clinching stage 3 win after trailing in 26 minutes adrift in the mountains. That wraps up today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Australia and Indonesia signed Defence Cooperation Agreement. Join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM and TV1 for more news updates. You can also stream us online through RTM's Click app. Till then, I'm SAHIH Malaysia Madani, Jiwa Merdeka. Goodbye for now.